What's up, guys? Rocky Tactics here, and today I have a video that'll be useful to the newer World War III players, and it's whether or not iron sights are a viable choice on your weapon. Optics are so easy to obtain in World War III that I really never put in a lot of testing with iron sights. So I used a couple of different weapons, a couple of assault rifles, mostly ARs and SMGs for this because those are pretty much the most used weapons in World War III. So the M4, the K2C, I have a very specialized infantry rifleman barrel 74U kind of setup that I've been using, a short barrel with iron sights that actually works surprisingly well. But since optics are always extremely readily available in World War III, I've never really tested very many different forms of iron sights in the game. And I decided to do that for a couple of hours. I decided to gather some footage and explain to the newer players how customizing your weapons works, and also, you know, explain to newer players exactly how hard they should be going after a lot of these optics. You know, do you really need an optic? You know, you get an extra attachment slot if you do not use one. So sometimes it might be better to just leave it off. And that's kind of the question that I'm trying to answer with this little miniature experiment. One of the first sort of revelations I came through this little experiment is that the further tacticalization of World War III has very much helped out things like iron sights with features like the new point shooting mechanic. So I'm sure they'll add things like this throughout the life cycle of this game, throughout the time that this game is living. But you can point shoot, so you can put a laser on your gun and you can it'll be more accurate than hip firing, but it won't be as accurate as actually aiming down your sights. But on certain weapons that have a very good hip firing profile, you can pretty much point shoot the whole time. I mean, the K2C, in the N4, in the assault rifle category, they are both monsters at hip firing. The M4 mostly for its extremely high fire rate, and the K2C mostly because it is kind of in the game for that purpose. It's a very much SMG-esque AR, and both of them are kind of like that. But I think the K2C is a little more accurate with hip firing, but the accuracy isn't a big issue with the M4 because it's a straight up bullet hose, right? So it's a little like, look at this clip right here. Straight up point shot that guy from like 10 yards, 15 yards or something like that. Another guy comes through, he can get it too. So when you're running iron sights, it's probably a good idea to use the point shooting mechanic at super close range because your visibility just isn't that high. That's kind of the story of a lot of the iron sights. They obstruct your visibility so much that I really cannot truly call them viable. And that is one of the reasons I can't. The second biggest reason I can't is that the way the customization in World War III works, there's so much flexibility that there's almost no reason not to have an optic. And this is kind of for those new players out there. If you don't know how it works, you actually have a backpack. You have a backpack that you can customize in your loadout just like you can customize your weapon. And even if you don't add an optic to your weapon in your loadout, you can bring an optic in your backpack and place it on your weapon. You can use Z, open your backpack, and put the optic on your weapon. So almost all of the time, optics are readily available, and I think the game is designed that way. I think that they clearly wanted players to pretty much tier 1 op, you know, tactical their weapons out. And honestly, it was a great design decision, as most of the design decisions are from Farm. They do a great job with this game, and I just think that from, you know, a competitive standpoint, from a survival standpoint in the game, it is much more, you know, efficient to pretty much always be using an optic because they're so readily available. So this obviously isn't super complicated. I kind of figured that the iron sights wouldn't necessarily be a viable option, but I was curious because, you know, games like COD, you know, even sometimes in Battlefield 2042, certain weapons literally just don't need optics. And I think that's mostly because of the way that the gunplay works in something like Call of Duty. You know, a lot of the recoil is visual. It's not actual recoil. A lot of the time, a lot of the weapons don't have an extreme amount of recoil. But in World War III, some of the time, like this short barrel setup I have, the barrel 74U, right, that I was talking about earlier, it kicks like a goddamn mule. And I made sure it's all vertical so that I could use it. But it's a fun setup. It's a very fun setup. It's high mobility. It's great for indoors. And it's great to utilize your point shooting mechanic. That's all I got for today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And drop a like, comment. I've been really enjoying a lot of the engagement I've been getting on my World War III content. It's not out of this world. You know, I got a lot more engagement on Insurgency, and I've been seeing a lot of new content creators for Insurgency, but I want to stick with World War III. I want to ride it out with this game. I love World War III. I love informing you guys about the game. So you guys take it easy. Have a nice day. I'm out.